Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today it is time to talk about my worst books of the year. So we are going to talk about all of the books that I just really did not enjoy this year. And to give the general disclaimer, as one does, this does not mean that any of these books are bad books. They're just books that didn't work for me. One of the great things about books is that we all have different styles, different tastes. We all have books that work for us, and some of us have books that just don't. But I thought this would just be a fun look at the past year and some of the things I read that I didn't enjoy. The first of these is The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney, and you're gonna see another J.P. Delaney on this list too. I think that J.P. Delaney is not the author for me. I don't think I'm gonna pick any more J.P. Delaney books up, but basically this book is like if the Disney Channel original movie Smart House met 50 Shades of Grey. So this woman applies to live in this house, and there's this pretty intense application process because the owner is an architect who's like very specific about what type of person lives there, and of course, everybody who the architect allows to live in his house is like young, beautiful blonde women, naturally. So there's all of these rules about the house and things that she can and can't do and the way she has to clean it, and even like so far as the color palette that she's allowed to wear in the house and the caliber of the food she's allowed to eat and the things she's allowed to search on the computer. She meets the architect, and he basically is this like tall, brooding Christian Grey character, and it did all kinds of ridiculous like Gone Girl type tropes, and it just so not for me. Such a waste of time. It was like weirdly vulgar, and it took every extreme trope from every thriller book ever and meshed them together. It was like, and then she was kidnapped, and then she got a phone call and there was nobody on the line, and then she tripped down the stairs, and just ridiculous. So yeah, 1 star, not for me. And next, let's just go ahead and get the other J.P. Delaney book out of the way. It is The Perfect Wife. And this book I should have DNF'd, but I wanted to finish it because it was the buddy read for my friend Jackie's Patreon. We do a book discussion at the end of every month. And so I wanted to be able to talk about this book, but this book was so bad. It's about this scientist that creates this like artificial intelligence robot wife to like take care of him and their son with autism. And the science behind it didn't make sense. Stuff didn't line up. It felt really sexist and like misogynistic. And like at one point his coworker said like, oh, well, it wouldn't be SA because she's a robot, so I can just do whatever I want to her, right? Because she's not a real person, and just like ridiculous stuff like that. And he took every stereotype of every therapist ever and attached it to the therapist of the son with autism, and it just felt very rude and like he was making fun of the behavioral health field. And he took some stabs at some evidence-based practices that are used, and I felt like he didn't have much platform of why he was taking stabs at them, and I felt like he put behavioral therapy in a bad light unnecessarily without having much information. And at the end of the book, he does say that some of that book is based on his experience as a father of a child with a disability, but I just feel like one bad experience shouldn't mean that you tear down an entire practice just because it didn't work for you or your son, without really researching further beyond just your own experience, because obviously behavioral therapy isn't going to work for everyone, and different types of behavioral therapy are going to work for different people. And the ending was just ridiculous, and really the ending was the only reason that I gave it 1 star, because it was just honestly just made me laugh. The next book on this list is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins, and I think that I'm not going to pick up any more Rachel Hawkins books because even though I loved The Wife Upstairs, I read her book that's coming out next year, The Villa, and I gave it like a low 3 stars, and Reckless Girls was a 1 star book. It was so bad, and I couldn't DNF it because I was reading it for a team challenge that I was doing for the Facebook book club that I'm a part of. But this book is like Bachelor in Paradise, basically. That's what I equate this book to. This group of young, immature people go on this boat ride and get stranded on an island, and then I think somebody dies, and it was just so ridiculous. There was too many characters. It felt like a bunch of people sitting on the sand on the beach complaining about stupid stuff that didn't matter, and they were all entitled and snobby, and so the stuff they were complaining about was like totally first world problems. This was just ridiculous and I could not wait for it to be over. And then we have Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough, another book where literally nothing happened. So this is about a woman who, because her mother had insomnia and started like going crazy and seeing things and going mad on her 40th birthday, I guess she felt like that meant she was gonna have the same things happen to her, even though there was no evidence really to support that. And she was an unreliable narrator, but unreliable in the like, oh, I don't know if I did that. Did I do that? Well, I was caught on camera, so I must have done that, but I don't remember. But there's literally me on a camera doing this thing. But does that mean that I really did it? It was just so ridiculous. And I feel like Sarah Pinborough was trying to do like the weird, ambiguous thing that she did with Behind Her Eyes, but it just did not work. And I felt like the character was just complaining and it didn't make sense. And it was literally just pages and pages and pages of, well, just because this thing happened to my mom means it's gonna happen to me too, right? And then we have Comfort Me with Apples. And I love this cover, so I was really excited for this one. And the synopsis seems like it's gonna be good. The synopsis is like, oh, housewife whose husband gives her everything and takes care of all of her needs, and all he tells her is don't go in our basement. And so that led me to think like, what's in the basement? Literally, there was one sentence about the basement and that was it. There was nothing else about the basement. And it ended up being this weird like Stepford Wives type. It didn't make sense, and it ended up being like weird, magical, paranormal type. And luckily it was short and I only wasted like an hour of my life. But here's a list of things that take roughly an hour that I feel like would be a more enjoyable time than reading this book. Going to the gyno, standing in line at the DMV, shoveling snow, getting a root canal. This book was so bad and such a waste of time. I don't understand what it had to do with apples. I don't understand what it had to do with the basement. It was horribly misadvertised as a book as a whole. So the singular star that I gave this book is literally just for the cover because it's pretty. And the last book I'm going to talk about is Stay Awake by Megan Golden. I was so excited for this one and I actually put it on my most anticipated list, which is I think partly why I was so angry that I hated it, because I've given other Megan Golden books 4 or 5 stars. But this is about a woman who wakes up and doesn't know where she is, and she finds a bloody knife in her pocket, and she finds a note that says, don't go to sleep or stay awake or something like that. And it was just so unrealistic. It was multiple timelines and you're trying to figure out why this woman is forgetting everything, and she basically forgets things when she falls asleep. So the entire book just felt like the same chapter over and over again. This whole book could have been completed in 50 pages, but it was just page after page of her being like, I'm so tired, but I shouldn't sleep. But I'm really tired. I'm just gonna sit down right here for a minute. Oh my gosh, I fell asleep. Oh my gosh, where am I? Oh my gosh, did I kill that person? Where am I? Wow, I'm tired, but I need to stay awake. But I'm so tired. Let me just fall asleep right here. Like literally over and over again. And the way she acted, I feel like is not the way that I would act if I woke up and I didn't know where I was or remember things. Like I would not be worried about the stuff that she was worried about. I would be like, somebody tell me what is going on. I wouldn't be like beating around the bush and being like, have you seen my cat? The audiobook was also not good, and just, yeah, really, really not for me. And this makes me really hesitant to pick up another Megan Golden book. Okay, I think that's all of the books I'm going to talk about today. These, like I said, I hope that I didn't bash any of your favorite books. Also, let me know which book was your least favorite book this year. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!